Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we've got a whole stack of research pulled together, and it's all focused on, well, one of the most transformative areas for any mission-driven organization. We're talking about mastering corporate relations and grants. And this deep dive isn't just about, securing cash. It's about changing your mindset. You're not just a recipient of charity. You're a high-value strategic partner. Our mission today is to give you a clear roadmap, a way to understand how to effectively enlist the business community in your cause, and to do that for real, long-term success, for sustenance.
That's the critical distinction right there. I mean, to start, we should probably define what we're talking about. Corporate grants are, at their core, a crucial form of philanthropy. It's where businesses set aside funds for charitable purposes, but, and this is key, ones that align with their own goals or values. The insight we see over and over is that these relationships, they have to be genuinely good for both sides.
It's a two-way street.
Exactly, a two-way street of value exchange.
Okay, so let's dig into that. If you think about the energy it takes to chase, say, huge federal grants, which are notoriously complex, why should a nonprofit prioritize corporate funding? What's the immediate practical upside of turning to the business community first?
The operational advantage is striking. It really is. Especially for smaller, more nimble organizations. We pulled insights from a lot of sources, and data from places like Instrumental really synthesizes this. The consensus is that corporate grants offer two huge differentiators compared to, the big government programs. First, they just tend to offer more flexible application processes.
And what does that mean in practice?
It means that you, as the applicant, you aren't getting penalized by this immense paperwork burden. You don't have to jump through all the bureaucratic hoops designed for, multi-million-dollar federal requests. The process is often just more streamlined. It allows smaller teams to compete without draining all their time on compliance checklists.
That flexibility is a huge deal, a game changer for efficiency. But that second differentiator you mentioned, that seems even more strategic.
It absolutely is. Corporate grants are in this unique position because they can be tailored. I mean, they're designed to align directly with the company's core values and its strategic goals. You aren't just applying to some arbitrary pot of money. You're actually proving to the corporation how funding your cause helps them. It might be boosting employee morale, meeting sustainability targets, or even just deepening their market presence in a certain community.
I can really see the power in that alignment. You're basically turning fundraising into a strategic value proposition. But hang on a second. We have to talk about the risk here. Doesn't all that tailoring mean a nonprofit is constantly in danger of bending its mission? What some people call mission creep, just to fit a company's marketing plan. Is that a sustainable trade-off?
That's a really important check. And the risk is absolutely real. It's exactly why the successful organizations focus so heavily on finding the alignment first. You shouldn't be chasing every single grant. The goal is to identify businesses whose priorities just naturally overlap with your mission. So if your nonprofit focuses on environmental education, partnering with a company that needs to offset its carbon footprint, well, that's organic. But if you find yourself having to fundamentally change your programs or who you serve just to get a check, then yeah, the long-term cost is going to outweigh the short-term financial gain. It just requires discipline.
Discipline is key. Okay, so moving beyond the cash itself, our sources kept emphasizing that the financial support is really just one part of the whole equation. What's the non-monetary value that a good corporate partnership can unlock?
Well, the biggest non-financial asset is a massive boost in legitimacy and visibility. It's often called the halo effect.
Okay, tell us more about that, the halo effect. It's a concept that sounds good on paper, but how does it actually translate into real growth for an organization?
Think of it like this. When a well-known, established corporation, one with a vetted brand, a solid reputation, publicly connects its goodwill with your cause, it functions like the ultimate high-level endorsement. It instantly validates your organization to thousands of people, and that includes your potential next big donors, foundations, government partners, people who might have seen you as too small or maybe unproven before. Right. It instantly shortens their due diligence time. The thinking is, if Company X trusts you, others are much more likely to follow.
So that increased legitimacy then helps you attract other resources.
Exactly. It helps you scale your reach far beyond your original network.
And this isn't just a passive thing, right? Corporations will actively use their marketing platforms to promote the partnership. This feeds into what the sources call business citizenship.
Precisely. The corporation isn't just writing a check behind closed doors. They are using their own vast marketing channels, their social media, their annual reports, email lists, press releases. to highlight your mission as an extension of their values. And suddenly your cause is getting exposure to supporters and customers who, frankly, might never have found you through traditional fundraising.
It's free, high-quality exposure that just builds that credibility for future growth. Okay, that covers visibility and legitimacy. But even with a great check, the real long-term impact on your operational health, it often comes from the boardroom, not the balance sheet. We really need to talk about the other resources, the ones that augment a nonprofit's bottom line in ways that go far beyond a cash grant.
Yes, and this is the critical aha moment for so many organizations that are trying to move from just surviving to actually thriving. The deepest value often comes in the form of specific non-monetary resources. We kind of break them into two categories. The first one is simple in-kind donations. So physical products or services the nonprofit would otherwise have to buy.
Like office supplies or software licenses.
Right, or food for an event, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the truly transformative resource is the donation of time and skill. This is often called pro bono work. This is where corporations offer up their employees specific expertise. Things like legal counsel or IT architecture planning, advanced financial modeling.
Even strategic planning.
Yes, strategic planning. All the things that help the nonprofit become fundamentally more efficient and centralized.
I just can't overstate the value of that kind of strategic pro bono help. I mean, think about a growing nonprofit trying to manage its donor database on some clunky old system. They might spend, 10% of their annual budget on staff hours just wrestling with inefficiency, getting free expert advice from a major tech firm to totally revamp that IT infrastructure that doesn't just save the cost of a consultant. It saves tens of thousands in future staff time. It makes the entire organization more robust, more scalable.
And it's a resource that cash alone often can't buy quickly enough, especially that high-level executive expertise. It provides the sophisticated business acumen that ensures the nonprofit is running as efficiently as the business itself, and that efficiency. It's a direct multiplier on mission achievement.
So if we're looking at the long game, this isn't transactional at all. It's designed to be transformational. How do these purposeful, these enduring relationships ensure sustainability over time?
They create a massive multiplier effect. Our research shows that cultivating these relationships is invaluable. And that's because obtaining one single successful corporate grant, it often leads to many more funds and greater opportunities to expand your whole support base.
And why is that?
It's because that first successful partnership, it serves as proof of concept. You delivered value for the corporation. They got a positive return on their investment, whether that was in brand recognition or maybe employee engagement. That makes the next ask so much easier, whether it's to the same corporation for a bigger project or to a completely new partner. It shifts the entire organization away from constantly fighting to survive the next quarter and toward long-term strategic growth.
That summarizes the goal perfectly. Purposeful relationships ensuring sustainability. Now, for the listener who is ready to actually do this, the stack of material we went through showed just how many components there are to master. I mean, we saw titles ranging from how to get corporate sponsors when you don't know anyone, all the way up to building lasting corporate partnerships. So let's break down the overall strategy into a few essential phases for the learner.
Right, which raises the question, how do you operationalize this? The resources group themselves pretty neatly into a strategic three-phase roadmap. Attraction acquisition, then alignment motivation, and finally, maintenance stewardship. So let's start with phase one, attraction and acquisition. This is purely about getting your foot in the door. And a lot of sources emphasize starting local. Don't just immediately go for the biggest national bank. Begin with the art of raising funds from local businesses. Local companies are often just easier to approach. They require less formal bureaucracy, and the impact of your mission in their community is immediately tangible to their staff, to their customers.
That makes the whole task feel so much less daunting. And I imagine if you can prove success at the local level, you build the references and the track record you need to approach the bigger national corporations later on. You're building a portfolio of success.
Exactly. Then you move into phase two, alignment and motivation. And this is where you have to stop thinking like a nonprofit and start thinking like a business strategist. The crucial topic here is understanding what corporate sponsors want and analyzing their commitment to corporate social responsibility, or CSR.
Can you just quickly define CSR for anyone who might not be familiar with that term?
Sure. CSR is essentially a company's self-regulated commitment to contribute to societal goals. So whether that's through environmental efforts, philanthropy, ethical labor practices, volunteerism, it's their mandate for giving back, and often their budget for grants sits right there. So to succeed, you have to meticulously research that corporation's specific CSR mandate. If they are primarily focused on STEM education for workforce development, then you need to clearly articulate how your after-school robotics program delivers a measurable ROI on that specific goal. You have to speak their language. You have to prove your shared values. It makes your grant request look less like a donation request and more like a necessary investment in their own strategic plan.
That completely shifts the dynamic of the relationship. It's no longer about pity or charity, it's about shared strategic outcomes.
Which brings us to the phase that really determines long-term success. Phase 3, maintenance and stewardship. This covers all the follow-through, and you see it in titles like How to Show Businesses Appreciation or Building Lasting Corporate Partnerships.
Hmm.
Way too many nonprofits, they secure the grant, and then they just disappear until the next funding cycle. And that's a huge mistake.
So what does good stewardship look like beyond, a thank you note and a mention in the annual report?
It's all about quantifiable impact reporting. A corporation is investing money that belongs to its shareholders, and they need to show results. You must provide clear data on the outcomes you achieved with their resources. Did the $50,000 grant lead to 200 kids gaining access to literacy programs?
Right. Did the pro bono IT work save the organization $15,000 in admin costs?
Precisely. This rigorous, data-driven stewardship is what keeps the relationship healthy. When you proactively show the business how their investment yielded positive returns, both social and potentially economic, they become eager to renew and to expand that partnership. They see you as reliable, effective.
It's clear this is a full life cycle approach. The good news is that all the resources we looked at really point back to a central, proven strategy. It's about maximizing corporate relations by going beyond the checkbook and focusing obsessively on mutual, measurable value.
So, to synthesize the two major takeaways here, corporate partnerships offer flexible, tailored funding that is tied to mutual values. That makes the relationship inherently stronger, more resistant to, say, an economic downturn. And crucially, they deliver those critical non-cash resources, expertise, time, goods that immediately make a nonprofit operationally more sophisticated and efficient.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, right now? Given the insight that one corporate grant often leads to many more funds and greater opportunities, the starting hurdle. It isn't just about securing that first check. It's about clearly articulating a unique, high-level need that makes a corporation eager to align its own future strategic growth with your nonprofit's purpose. And that leaves us with this final provocative thought. If you look at your organization's biggest operational bottleneck, the thing that just sucks up the most time or money, what is the single biggest operational challenge that high-level pro bono expertise from a corporate partner could solve for you right now? Getting that specific high-value answer is your first step toward building true sustainable partnerships.